Declan Flynn's death was not the start of the fight for Irish LGBT rights, and we need to talk about it. Hi, I'm Elliot, the Irish alt historian, and I have a Masters in International History from Trinity, and I'm currently undergoing my PhD in the history of the LGBT Irish community. Also, this isn't an invitation to go and be weird to that commenter. This is a perfectly normal comment. It is simply a more nuanced discussion. If you're particularly interested in LGBT Irish history, you probably know the name Declan Flynn. Declan Flynn was a young gay man in Dublin in the 1980s who worked for Air Rianta and in 1982 occasionally helped out at the Hirschfeld Centre. Summer of 1982 in Fairview Park, which was a very popular gay cruising spot at this time, a series of gay bashings took place. Flynn was walking through Fairview Park on the 9th of September 1982 when he was ambushed and attacked by a group of 5 teenagers looking to beat predatory gays. Flynn ended up dying at 31 due to asphyxia from inhaling the blood that was pooling in his mouth and nose due to his injuries. The 5 attacking him did end up calling 911, but he did end up succumbing to his injuries. All 5 were given a suspended sentence. Celebrations after that fact are what led to the March 1983 Pride March and subsequently the June 1983 Ireland's first official Pride Parade. Hold on, Elliot, you just said that Declan Flynn wasn't the start of Irish Pride. So the fact is that even as early as the 1970s, Ireland was a lot more of a multicultural society than people tend to recognise. So as early as 1974, events were already taking place to mark the struggle of Irish LGBT people and the 1969 Stonewall riots in the US. The Sexual Liberation Movement were a Dublin-based organisation that were formed in 1973, ended up organising the first gay pride demonstration in Dublin for June 27th of 1974. 12 individuals or activists from the Republic and Northern Ireland ended up picketing outside the British Embassy and the Department of Justice on Stephen's Green on the 27th of June, protest the injustices of the 1861 and 1885 laws that criminalised sexual activity between 2 men. Among the 12 brave individuals there that day were David Norris, Geoffrey Dudgeon, Hugo McManus, Michael Kerrigan, Margaret McWilliam, Joseph Leckie, and Edwin Henshaw. This is where things get really interesting because in a sign of growing international solidarity among the LGBT communities, a decision was made in May 1974 at the annual Congress of the Campaign for Homosexual Equality to dedicate Gay Pride Day of 1974 to highlight the situation faced by Irish queer people and offer their support to them. As a result, on the same day that the 12 individuals from the Sexual Liberation Movement in Dublin picketed the British Embassy and the Department of Justice, activists in Norway were similarly picketing the Norwegian British Embassy, carrying placards that stated "Stop the oppression of Irish homosexuals and no discrimination on the grounds of being different." Now let's go back to the Hirschfeld Centre, which Declan Flynn worked at. On St. Patrick's Day of 1979, the Hirschfeld Centre, named for Magnus Hirschfeld, opened its doors in Temple Bar to become a home for many LGBT individuals in Ireland. The Hirschfeld Centre went on to become headquarters for the National Gay Federation and Liberation for Irish Lesbians, which was Ireland's first lesbian organisation established in 1978. It housed a disco called Flickers, a cinema called the Hirschfeld Biograph, a telephone befriending service, Telefriend, which would eventually become the Gay Switchboard during the AIDS crisis, Secretariat of the International Gay Association, and a support service for parents of homosexuals called Parents Inquiry, and additionally a cafe. Hirschfeld Centre became a community centre for the LGBT community who had been isolated from their own communities or felt they couldn't come out in them. Moving on from the Hirschfeld Centre, let's talk about the first official Pride Week that Ireland celebrated in 1979 from June 25th to July 1st. This was organised by the National Gay and Lesbian Federation, and the 10-day event commemorated the 1969 Stonewall riots and drew attention to the difficulty and oppression that members of the LGBT community were facing in Ireland. Events organised for this week included political forum with TDs, a women's night, a fancy dress night at Flickers, and an open night at the Hirschfeld Centre. Invitees were also encouraged to actively wear badges with pink triangles and pink carnations or other gay symbols on them to actively identify them as queer. 1979 Pride Week also marked the start of a number of Irish queer traditions, including the 1979 Pub Zap, which involved LGBT individuals wearing the badges we just talked about and going around pubs in Dublin and seeing how many they would get thrown out of. During the 1982 Pub Zap, 15 individuals took part, and out of the 8 pubs that they tried to get into, 5 denied them service. So between 1979 and 1982, there were already active organisations and individuals within Ireland campaigning to draw attention to the plight faced by Irish LGBT individuals and already developing community ties, particularly in Cork and Dublin, as we know from Orla Egan's Queer Republic of Cork and Patrick McDonagh's gay and lesbian activism in the Republic of Ireland. Does this mean we need to stop talking about Declan Flynn and start talking about Stonewall as the start for Irish fights for LGBT rights? Absolutely not. This simply means that Stonewall had somewhat of an impact on Irish LGBT history in that it encouraged activists in Ireland to fight for the rights for LGBT people everywhere, not just in Ireland, and that led to a more international LGBT movement. So in fact, neither Declan Flynn nor Stonewall started Irish Pride, but a secret third option. Obviously, that last part was a joke. Declan Flynn's murder absolutely was the start of mainstream LGBT Irish history in modern Ireland, but people were fighting for Irish LGBT rights before his murder. Now you know, and now I have a cute outfit.